So tonight I'm going to take a little break from the turbo build. I'm going to play around with the suspension a bit. I got my new Ridetech front struts in, so I'm going to play around with the control arms and see how I'm going to make it work. I like this car to sit low. I'm going to try and do a little bit of everything with this car. I like to cruise in it. I like to cruise low. I like the car sitting on the ground. That's what I built the car originally to do. Now I want to go fast and sit on the ground. So even though I'm putting better stuff in the front end, I'm taking out the old bags, which are right here. These are the old bags I had in the front. They're Slam Specialty S6s, the 2,600 pound bags, 6-inch. These are the mounts I made for the tops. Really rough looking, but hey, they work. I've had them in there for 3 years. But without running a shock in the front, it was time to step it up. So I got my Ridetech struts in, and the only thing I don't like about it, like these are designed, like these are the struts here. Sexy. Like they're not cheap, which is why I've put off doing them for so long. But they are the best you get. If you want air ride and you want it to handle, these are what you gotta go with. So I've already enlarged my pocket from when I did the other airbags. So I don't have to touch that, which is nice because I don't have to repaint the frame. But the control arms that I bought, these are designed to work with these control arms. These are just eBay tubular control arms. These, along with there's supposed to be like a trunnion that goes through here that you can buy separately, that's designed to bolt into the stock location. That's fine if you don't care how low you actually are going to ride. I want this car to sit low. I want to be able to air out and lay frame. That's what I was able to do before. But they won't do it with these control arms. Because when I was playing around mocking it up, if that's where it's going to sit, that's extended out all the way. And this thing only has, I believe, 2 3/4 inch travel, if I remember right, or 3.5, I gotta check. But anyway, there's about 7 or 8 inches between that stopper and the frame. And I'd love it if that stopper would go all the way to the frame. Won't achieve it if I was to bolt in the stock location on the arm. So I'm going to modify the lower arm and try and get this thing to sit as low as I can without too much. I don't want anything to interfere with anything. I don't want my steering to hit the frame, which is the problem I had before. So it's not going to sit quite as low, but I did buy 2-inch drop spindles this time. So I can gain a couple inches there. I've already taken the other side off, and I'll show you what I did. I'm hoping, trial and error, I already made one set of plates. They didn't quite work out the way I was hoping. I was getting interference with the bag hitting the arm. So, take 2, cut myself a piece of cardboard, made it into plates. This is, what is this, 3/16? 3/16. And I took the stock arm off the other side. Stock arm, it's not stock at all. I took the tubular control arm off the other side. I already cut the pocket out. This pocket sat like that inside, down in there. And I'm just gonna weld these guys to the outside like that. One on each side. I'm just going to tack it in for now. That's what I did with the other ones, and I found out that I went a little too deep with it. I'm going to tack these ones on. They're about 3/4 of an inch. No, 1/2 inch. I mean, 1/2 inch shorter than the first set. I'm going to put it in here, and we'll see if anything hits. And yes, I'm closing my eyes, don't worry. Don't want the welder's flash. So I'm just tacking it for now. I'm gonna test fit it and hopefully I don't have to do this again. All right, I've got it bolted in. It is definitely better. Because before, the problem I was having was the bag was rubbing on this pocket. So now that I've got the whole thing set up a ½ inch more than it was, I'm not having that problem. But if I go all the way up with it, see right there, the rubber stopper, or plastic stopper it's up against the bag right now. I mean, I don't think that's really gonna cause too much damage, but the bag's also not, like there is no air at all. Like this will actually bulge out a little bit more when there's air in it. And I'm getting really close to the front pocket here. And if I keep going up with it, like now the rubber stopper is touching. Like I'm lifting the frame up right now. But yeah, she's touching there. I've got lots of room in the back. Not touching down below. The front's getting close there though. Like it's pretty much touching the sway bar link mount. So I'm thinking if I knock these plates off and move them back, that'll get me away from the frame. I can still cut more of the frame out if I had to. I really don't want to. But I also want to get away from the sway bar mount. So I'm going to knock those off. We're going to slide them back and hopefully it won't have any more interference here. But if I go too far, when I air up with it, if I go too far, I might hit back there. See? So I gotta play around with it, find a happy medium. I gotta do something, I can't leave it like that. This bag won't last a month. You can't touch anything. So I gotta play with this some more. All right, I play with this some more. So I cut more of the frame out, which is what it says to do in the book. I mean, read the instructions, right? But I had already cut some of the pocket out from the previous bags, so I was hoping not to cut any more out, but you know, cut more out. They're a lot more clearance now. And I built different plates that actually sets the bolt back further. I ground down a little bit of the mount, so I got more clearance there. And I just took my grinder and ground off the side of my my stopper, and it's much better. I have a lot more clearance now, and I even cut off the excess of this pocket. This pocket stuck up like 1/4 of an inch. I cut all that off right down to where it's welded in. So I mean, that was just extra material anyway. It's not really serving much of a purpose. Yeah, the light doesn't help when it's not where it needs to be. I even ground the part of the pocket back there as well to give me a little bit more space. And if I go all the way down, it pretty much touches, but just barely. Like I can turn the bag and you barely feel it. The plastic ring on the bottom, like this is just plastic, and it just touches back there on the pocket, but like barely. And that's only really gonna touch if I was to raise the front end up as high as it'll go and drive around like that. And like I said, it's barely touching it. It's not going to touch the bag itself, so I'm not really concerned about damaging anything. And we're going to try that. I'm not going to weld everything in solid yet. Like I'm gonna weld these a little bit better. Right now I just have tacks. I'm just going to weld, I'm going to do a solid bead, and then I'm going to put air to this. But I have to do the other side first, get all the air lines hooked up, hook my batteries back up, and actually put some pressure to this, because I want to see how much these bags expand, because I don't want to go through the trouble of welding. Like I'm going to weld it semi-solid, because what I want to do is I'm going to make plates that cover here front and back, just so these things can't bend side to side at all, even though they shouldn't, because the force is just pushing up and down. I like kind of doing overkill if I can. And I'm going to put plates here, but I'm not going to weld those in yet until I know that everything's going to work and I don't have to move my plates again or make up different ones, because I made up a couple sets, right? That was the first one that failed. Those were my second ones that failed. And then my third ones, there was my number 2 template. And you'll see how much different it is with the third one. That's how much I set it back. I went 1/2 inch. Right, if you can see that. You see that shows how far back I moved it. Right, trial and error. Took me three attempts to get it pretty close. So that pretty much wraps up the front suspension. As long as nothing touches when I air it up, I'm just gonna leave it as is, and that'll pretty much be it for the front suspension. I am gonna pull it all apart and paint it all, as long as, you know, once I test it. But yeah, so this actually went together pretty easy. Like I said, the hardest part was just modifying this lower arm just to make it do what I want it to do, which is sit a lot lower than most people would ever run their car. But that's me, that's my build, and that's, you know, we'll see what it looks like in the end. It'll look like it did before. I mean, this thing sat on the ground before, it's gonna sit on the ground again. At least it'll handle better this time. But yeah, so the next time you see it, it'll be all painted and complete.